Whether you are entering or exiting the 20th Century Gallery at the Wisconsin Veterans Museum, it is hard to miss the lure of the Navy's vessel that bears our state's name. As it is tradition for the U.S. Navy to name battleships after states, we Wisconsinites are doubly proud to have two battleships named after our great state. In 1897, the San Francisco Iron Works laid the keel of the first USS Wisconsin, BB-9. She was launched in 1898 and commissioned in February 1901. With a design speed of 16 knots, she became the flagship of Rear Admiral Silas Casey's Pacific Squadron. After a decommissioning and recommissioning, the USS Wisconsin cruised around the world in 1908 in the Great White Fleet. During World War I, she was part of the Coastal Patrol Squadron. BB-9 was decommissioned for the last time in the spring of 1920 and sold for scrap in 1922. Of course, not all of the first USS Wisconsin was scrapped. At the museum, we exhibit the helmsman's wheel and a plaque for the next USS Wisconsin, cast of bronze from the whistle of BB-9. In January of 1941 at the Philadelphia Naval Yard, the keel was laid for the second battleship, BB-64. With a design speed of over 30 knots, the vessel served through several commissions and decommissions over a 47-year tenure. To many sailors, the USS Wisconsin is synonymous for heavy anti-aircraft batteries and a technological prowess that made her one of the mightiest modern battleships of her time. Many know her by her technical specifications like 16-inch guns and Tomahawk missiles that have proven their weight in battles across 3 generations. At the Wisconsin Veterans Museum, we acknowledge that prowess, and now share with you a few stories of the people of Wisconsin. In April 1944, the BB-64 was commissioned with Captain Earl E. Stone, a Milwaukee native, in command. If he had followed through with his father's career wishes, Rear Admiral Stone might well have been plunking away at a newsroom typewriter during World War II, instead of commanding one of the Navy's great battleships. A year into his journalism studies at the Milwaukee State Normal School, Stone's father had died. Knowing her son had always dreamed of a life at sea, his mother encouraged him to follow that dream with one gentle phrase: "It's up to you, son." With only 3 weeks to prepare for the Naval Academy entrance exam, Stone dug in. A few weeks later, Senator Robert M. La Follette selected Stone for one of the 2 spots available at the Academy in Annapolis. Fate was not done testing Stone's resolve. En route to the Academy, he developed an inner ear infection that caused temporary hearing loss, and he failed his physical. Unwilling to abandon his dream, Stone contacted Senator La Follette, who aided him in a recovery plan, and he passed his physical. His determination, grit, and skilled communications guided Stone through a storied career, rising to the rank of Rear Admiral. During World War II in the Pacific, Stone commanded the USS Wisconsin when she earned her first battle stars during the Luzon attacks in December 1944. Another point of pride for our state is George Powers, a hometown boy from right here in Madison. The 17-year-old Powers was the first Madisonian enlisted for the token crew of the USS Wisconsin. On an August evening in 1942, Powers took his oath at a Capitol Park ceremony, which included a parade of 250 white-clad sailors of the Navy's training school at the university, numerous dignitaries, and a color guard from the Veterans of Foreign Wars Drum and Bugle Corps. Ironically, Powers never set foot on the USS Wisconsin as he'd planned. After boot camp at Great Lakes Naval Station, he received orders to report for hospital training school to fill a need for pharmacists. Although he was never assigned to the Wisconsin during his long Navy career, Powers proudly served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. What would a story about Wisconsin be without mentioning cheese? Yes, even the mighty USS Wisconsin can weigh in on that subject. As a naval tradition, battleships were presented with silver surfaces. In the case of the USS Wisconsin BB-64, her presentation silver was the refurbished set presented to the BB-9 in 1901. Because the BB-64 was a World War II warship, her set was not presented until after the war ended. According to the Wisconsin State Journal, The lead silversmith of the refurbishing project, William Schwanke, sent the silver service ahead of the Wisconsin delegation by special carrier to San Francisco. Schwanke worried all the way to California about that $30,000 package. Once he got to San Francisco, he contacted the express service to verify its arrival. Much to Schwanke's horror, the express service said they'd never seen the package. The poor guy had to tell the Wisconsin delegation, which included the lieutenant governor, the governor's press secretary, and the chief justice, that the silver had not arrived. This alarm set in motion hours of cross-country telegraphs and frantic searches by top express service officials, until finally a freight yard clerk remembered he'd received a box from Wisconsin. He put it on the loading dock, next to a shipment of Wisconsin cheese. Of course, we have many more stories to tell you about Wisconsin's military history and our veterans. We hope to see you in the galleries of the Wisconsin Veterans Museum on the Capitol Square in Madison.